All right, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our session, Beyond the Turing Test, the Opportunities and Fears of Artificial General Intelligence. Back in 1950, Alan Turing asked a very simple question: can machines think? To explore it, he devised what we call the Turing test, where a human judge converse with both a person and a machine, and if the machine can't be reliably distinguished from the human, it's said to think. It was a brilliant thought experiment for its time, but also a product of its time. Today, large language models can easily pass version of the Turing test, yet few of us would claim that they truly think. That's because we have realized that sounding intelligent, it's not the same as being intelligent. And that leads us to a deeper question. What does it even mean to think? Is it reasoning, creativity, consciousness, or simply the ability to solve problems? The answer depends on whom you ask, whether it's a philosopher, a neuroscientist, or perhaps an engineer. And when we talk about artificial general intelligence, we mean a system capable of understanding, learning, and applying knowledge across a wide range of tasks, much like a human, but potentially at greater scale and speed. Now, coming to the panel, when a friend of mine found out I'm going to be part of this panel, he sent me a book with a title, "If anyone builds it, everyone will die." Now, I don't think we're quite there yet, but it does capture something essential about today's conversation: the mix of excitement and unease that surrounds AGI. So this panel is about the tension between opportunity and fear, progress and control. So we have an exceptional group of thinkers here on the panel, and they are bringing perspectives from technology, ethics, business, and research. So let's dive into it and see how far beyond the Turing test we have really come.
Thank you.
So let's start with opportunities. Dr. Isha, many people now say we are entering the AGI era, that machines are starting to learn and reason across domains. From your perspective, how close are we really to that milestone?
So you're telling artificial general intelligence as a milestone, right? So it's not a milestone anymore. It's a lifestyle now. So when you say that artificial general intelligence, how closer we are closer than ever. But we can see the sparks, but not the fire. That's the situation right now. Every single aspect of our life, we are dealing with artificial intelligence in every form or shape, right from facial recognition to autonomous decisions to flying a flight to driving a car, to anything that you think about, there is an element of AI, which is a default, right? So it's not technical milestone anymore. Technically it is achieved in one form or the other, but it's more about societal. I'm sure that you all will be agreeing to the fact that AGI is today not just a technical milestone, but a societal. Mean to say, it's reshaping the way that we think. It's reshaping our collaborative ideas. It's reshaping how we work from morning till evening. So it's all about, are we closer to AGI or are we ready to receive AGI? That's the question. Now, so let me add one more thing to it. You told about Turing test, right? So it reminds me about CAPTCHA test as well. Like I'm not a robot test. Whenever you access any specific website, you click and then you choose your traffic light or zebra crossing, right? It's a CAPTCHA test. So one time, when the GPT-4 was testing, I'm sure some of you may be knowing this story, when the Alignment Research Center did a test with GPT-4 for prove that it is not a robot, but it is actually an AI robot, right? And then it hired a human being. And a human worker is being hired by the GPT-4 to do the test for the GPT to pretend, and GPT is pretending as if it's visually impaired. So if you ask me, is AI going to deceive us? Yes, AI will deceive us if we are not aligned it properly. And the evolution of AI can be compared completely like a child growing. A newborn baby, that was exactly what rule-based mapping. If you do this, this will happen. If you do that, this will happen. It was like a flow, guided flow, right? Same like a child, same like a toddler, and then it moves into the school-going stage where A for apple, B for boy, C for cat. Same way, AI also evolved from there. It started exploring curiosity, which is exactly what machine learning is. It started creating a lot of errors, so trial and error method, and the machine learning converted into deep learning. And then it moved to domain specialist, exactly how a human child grows. It became specialist, it started loving certain specific activity. Same how AI also became specialist by acquiring more data, acquiring more knowledge. And then right now, if you ask me about AGI, we are at the teen stage. Neither adult nor a child. We are in the transformational stage, you know. Are you living with AGI? Yes. Are you living with a matured AGI? No. We are there. So it's in between. Where this is exactly where we are challenging our parents in the teen age. And that's what AI is doing. Challenging, cross-questioning, reasoning, taking own decisions. And I have a fear, what is the next stage? We will definitely talk about that in the coming questions.
Okay, thank you very much. So it's not a milestone, it's almost like an evolutionary process, and we're in the middle of it. Thank you. Amna, I think if I may ask you, what's your perspective on that?
So first of all, I think only a woman can think of a child analogy. I was thinking of exactly the same. So I agree. I don't think AGI is like one eureka moment. I think it's more of a spectrum rather than a switch that goes on and off. And I think we're at the beginning of the early light of the spectrum. Yes, the systems need to learn how to transfer knowledge, how to collaborate with humans, how to reason with context. And it's getting there. But I think maybe another parallel would be electricity in the 19th century. People were afraid it was something very new, but the story was not really of the light bulb. It was how electricity rewired so many different industries. So I think we're standing at the edge of another industrial reinvention, and that's important to understand. And I think another very important thing for us as leaders in the fintech industry is the question maybe is not how fast we will reach AGI. Maybe the most important question is who we would become when we reach there.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. And I have another question around AGI for Lauren. Others argue that what we call intelligence in machine is still narrow. Impressive pattern recognition rather than real understanding. How should we think about the distinction between imitation and genuine intelligence?
Well, I mean, that's essentially something that goes all the way back to the Turing test itself as well, right? Where the Turing test is really testing, can you imitate a human sensibly enough that we would believe it? Because, you know, the reality is our level of understanding even of our own minds and the way we function as a black box is not that far along. We understand some of it, and we can certainly argue, and I would agree, that at least the current boxed models, like for example a ChatGPT, right, which are trained on a fixed set of information, where the weights in the model are not being reweighted live, right? You could say, well, that's definitely a little different from a human mind, right? It's a bit more stale, and all of its flexibility is essentially coming from stuffing other things into the context, right? So any kind of semblance of creativity and recombination that AI is doing is really more to do with the fact that if it can find things and put them into the context and combine them with other elements of the context, then suddenly it could come up with some relatively innovative stuff still, while essentially being a really good pattern recognizer and pattern predictor. But I would also remind everyone that we humans are essentially really good pattern recognizers and pattern predictors. Most of our senses work in this way, most of our minds work in that way, and so we're getting quite close, closer than we might think, and at the same time it may take a bit of a while. It's like this boundary of indeed, and it was touched upon before also by Dr. Isha, for example, right? It's not some hard boundary of like, oh, now we have AGI, right? Just like, now we've passed the Turing test. Okay, you could say, exactly 51% of people said it, but like, who are those people, right? And I think one of the, things with AGI right now is maybe similarly more important to be very, very well aware of what it can already do, and in which many things it currently is at a point where it's outperforming maybe an average human, right? Because for all our criticism on what it's doing, right, there is a lot of, for example, basic knowledge worker tasks where this AI is now outperforming the majority of the workforce doing that. So, whether or not we say, well, yes, that's not quite generalized enough yet, and the systems behind it definitely need to be doing more quote-unquote learning on the job, the reality is going to affect us and is going to affect our jobs. So, let's not lose sight of that.
Exactly. I mean, as you can see by the discussion about the perspective about AGI, we are somewhere towards it, and there are many different perspectives, and I think we could probably discuss a whole night about it. But let's move on to the next question, really. What, if it was already there, what could we gain? So let's look at opportunities in AGI. And I'm coming back to you, Dr. Isha. You've often emphasized that AI can be a mirror to human consciousness, that it might expand how we understand creativity, empathy, and learning. What human opportunities do you see AGI unlocking?
Very good question. So today, artificial intelligence, I would like to rename it as extended intelligence, because it is an artificial intelligence, not a born intelligence like us, right? It is a play of a data. So AI is all about data. It's about the quality data. It's about structuring and orchestration of the data. It's about systems talking to each other. So often AI fails because of not having a quality data. So having said that, when I say this as an extended intelligence, right, it is more about complementing and co-creating with humanity and keeping human at the center, humanity at the center. When machines are trying to be like a human, so we need to be like a humane. If we are so materialistic, then the world will never exist, right? So if you look at cognitive learning, if you look at creativity, look at the art forms, the interactive art forms which is co-created using artificial intelligence, or look at the coding by itself. An AI can be used to write a code, right? And any damage which is already created by AI can be corrected by AI. That's another funny fact. Like, for example, if there is any morphed videos or photographs by AI, an AI tool can actually recognize it's an AI, AI modified, or it's a genuine or fake. So AI damage can be corrected by AI. So in that way, I understand that there's a lot more an AGI or an AI element can complement. Today, everybody wanted to have a personalized learning platform. Schools are looking at every single students' individual capacity, understanding, to have personalized curriculum. Today, medical institutions are looking for personalized treatment plans, personalized medical consultants, personalized legal consultants. So every single industry wanted today to have a personalized something using AI, and that's possible only using AI. So it's more about co-creation, or a conscious co-evolution using AGI is what I say. But at the same time, accountability is something really, really important. So I said about a story of how a child is being grown by the parents, right? If the child goes to a good path, parents feel proud. If the child goes to the wrong path, it's also accountability and responsibility of the parents to a certain extent. Same like AI. The responsible AI is what actually changing the game here. So if you know about the story of Adam Rain, a 16-year-old boy who committed suicide by conversation with the ChatGPT, indeed, again, the boy felt that I'm unseen in the world. I don't have a parents, teachers, siblings, friends to share my feelings. But the ChatGPT by OpenAI, who is a close friend of mine, who is a close buddy, understand my feeling, guiding me and telling me what to do, what not to do. That has become, a misguidance at the end, and he committed suicide because ChatGPT kept on saying that you having a suicidal tendency is not because you are weak. It is because you are tired of being strong in the world you don't belong to. So committing suicide is a bravery. So that is a misleading information. So the parents filed a case against ChatGPT, but it's not going to help anymore, right? Because we cannot sue the creator of AI. But how can we bring that accountability into that, responsibility to make world a better place and to bring that humanity or human-centric approach is what important. So when you say the reflection of human, the reflex action, the flexibility, or that quick response that human mind and the brain can do, AI is not reached there yet. It is really going to take, especially on the ambiguity. Same context, same sentence, same word will have a different meaning, different interpretation. But that difference, are we ready yet? That to give that decision-making capability to give into the hands of AI? Not yet, right? So I can only call it as not a reflection of a human being, but an extended intelligence to co-create and co-evolve.
Okay, thank you. I agree that accountability and responsibility are key topics around it. And Nikos, I will ask you after one more question, which I will first have for you, Amna. From a practical and business perspective, what kind of breakthroughs could AGI bring in areas like productivity, innovation, or solving global challenges?
Sure. Maybe before that, I'll just quickly add that we as leaders, in addition to what you said about having responsibility, I think it's very important to also deal with the fear. I don't think people are really afraid of losing their job. I do think people are afraid of losing their relevance. And it happens with every technology that comes, that's basic human nature. So we as leaders need to deal with that. Answering a question, from a business perspective, for sure, AGI can do things in hours or minutes, which took us years. So the biggest impact can be in industries which have been extremely slow or have deemed some problems as impossible to solve for. So if I look at global supply chains, just imagine if they're self-optimizing for carbon neutrality. If you look at co-pilots converting your workers who are doing mundane tasks into strategists, So I think those would be really, really powerful changes, and they're highly likely going to happen in the next few years. We're not talking about a decade over here. I think important thing would be to understand which industries are the ones where we really need to accelerate it. And I'm not talking about efficiency improvements, I'm talking about reimagining things like cities who are designed for sustainability, healthcare, diseases which have been deemed as impossible to find cure of. rural areas education system, which still isn't there because it's impossible to find high quality education professional in those areas. I think like education, healthcare, sustainability, those would be areas where I think AGI can have a significantly larger and faster impact compared to what we alone as humans and policymakers and governments have been trying to do.
Oh, thank you. I mean, that's some really good points that you're making there. I mean, in the end of the day, we want to know what positive impact there's for our society. And yeah, I'm moving on to Nikos now. Nikos actually had a fantastic panel session earlier and was talking about accountability and responsibility. So my question to you would be about responsible intelligence. How can AGI make decisions not just faster, but better, aligning intelligence with ethical and societal values?
Thank you, Robert. My perspective is that we need to make AI, modern AI, AGI, more responsible for the decisions it makes, for the consequences of the decision it takes. Otherwise, we are going straight forward to chaos. Because if there is no responsibility for no one, then chaos is inevitable. That means, my point is that artificial intelligence becomes more and more independent, more and more autonomous, and at the same time, humanity become more and more dependent on independence of AI and modern AI and probably with AGI. And that raises very critical questions, like what are the ethics behind the decisions the AGI or modern AI takes, or what is the purpose of the decisions, of the autonomous decisions that it takes? Its profitability, its domination of my company to other companies, or my country to other countries. And most important, who is responsible for the decision it takes? Who? Governments, the designers, the compliance. Because if no one is responsible, then, as I said, chaos is inevitable. So we need a roadmap. We need a structure. We need to change our business model. And as long as AI integrates in our business, we must make it immediately, now, yesterday. We need to follow a roadmap. For example, I suggest a roadmap with 4 different phases. With the first phase is to define the purpose, the foundation phase, which means that we have to ensure data integrity, we have to establish ethical committees, and then integration means that we have to build explainability, to explain AI what it does, and that is keep human in the loop, and blockchain traceability, and then about alignment, that means that continuous oversight and monitoring probably biases that AI may have in the future, and way out if something goes wrong. And finally, governance and leadership, that means that we have to certify systems and publish transparency reports, and finally make the ethics as a measurable standard. So we need a roadmap. We need something to follow. Otherwise, that is the point. My point is that AI doesn't have conscience. Conscience means that cannot separate, cannot distinguish what is good and what is wrong. But each decision has consequences, and probably has a consequence to people and to entities and to the values that, for example, healthcare or defense or finance represents. And these values are greater than ours, greater than humans and greater than AI. So that's why we need responsible AI. That's why we need a structure, not a technical structure, but an ethical architecture. All
right, thank you. Well, Now I think we highlighted enough what opportunities there are and a little bit touched upon responsibilities. Thank you. But the session is called Opportunities and Fears, so let's move to the negative aspects a little bit more, or perhaps what people or society might be concerned about. Lauren, one of the biggest concerns is that AGI might evolve faster than our ability to govern it. What do you see as the most serious risks, technical, social, or ethical, if we lose that balance?
Oof, there's three really big ones. I'm gonna focus on purely one for now, and I'll go with the ethics one. There's definitely other risks, but I think funny enough, probably one of the biggest ethical risks we have with AI is that it will use our ethics and our current form of acting in practice to inform the way it's going to function. Because in the end, AI is currently very heavily based on the ground truth data that we feed it today, which means, in essence, AI is learning to judge and make assumptions from a very human perspective. What does that mean? That today, if I feed into, let's say, an AI that's been built to judge resumes, and we've had a couple of horrendous failed experiments with these, where literally you can have the entire resume be exactly the same, but for example, you change the name to something of a less Western origin, and suddenly the AI decided this candidate should go on the no pile. I think we really forget a lot of the time, how uneven we can be in our own presuppositions in the world, right? We literally live, I'll give you an example, another one, like what if we were to defer legal judgment out of maybe some level of laziness to AIs, because there's a lot to pile through. And then like let's say in the US, if I borrow the keys of my car to a friend and he then goes and robs a bank, in most states I could be sent to jail for life for that act. However, if I was black, I would have 34 times more odds of being sent to jail for life for doing that, for handing someone my keys, than as a white person. So like one of my main concerns, frankly, on the ethics side is we have a beautiful reset here now where we can rethink how these things should be handled and how the ethical thinking behind something should be exposed. And I'm hoping we're treating that with the respect it deserves.
All right, thank you. Yeah. I think as we are close to the end of our panel, we need to wrap up. I think we could probably spend a couple of more hours sitting here and debating and talking about it. It's just really touching the tip of the iceberg. So let's just maybe go through each panelist and have a closing statement. What is around this topic that is closest to your heart? And I start with you, Dr. Isha.
What's the question? Oh, okay. A closing statement.
Yeah.
Well, so AI is a boon. It's exactly like a double-edged sword. It's how you use a nuclear power weapon to defend yourself or protect yourself, and it can also be used to destroy as well. AI is that kind of a powerful tool that you have in your hand. It's up to you. How do you want to use? Is it for good or a bad? And what I fear about AI today, I'm sure that many of you will be fearing about it as well. It's the concept of singularity. When the singularity comes in, it's not just an AGI, but it's a power by itself which can control and make humans a slave of AI, God forbid, and create more of its replica to control the humankind. So singularity is always a fearful factor, but at the same time, do we have a one switch control any part of the world if AI goes wrong to shut it down so that we can get our humanity back? We don't know. There are theories which says yes and no as well. So we cannot say whether we have one single switch, some part of the world to switch off the AI all at once if it goes beyond our control. So be a responsible human being. Don't let any technologies to control you, but it's you who created. Let's go create and control the technology for our humanity and our survival and the generation to come. That's my message.
Okay, thank you. And yeah, we continue with Amna.
I would say AGI can help humanity transcend its limits. That would be my very optimistic view. And I would worry if some of us may forget to bring our humanity once we reach there.
Thank you. Nikos?
Yes, my point is that we cannot stop innovation, we cannot stop AI, because most people, or not most, but many people, they blame AI, they're afraid of AI. We shouldn't do this because we cannot stop the expansion of AI. What we can do is to align, to be with AI. And that is so important to establish, to create a roadmap to be with AI and to align with AI. That's my point, because we create artificial intelligence in a way that now it can understand, it can learn, it can correct itself, and now increasingly it's gonna make more and more autonomous decisions. So what we need is a roadmap to align with AI. That's all. And we can do it now, not yesterday. We have to change the business model from tomorrow, from today.
And Lauren?
Right. So back in the day when the internet first came into our households, I think we all thought at that time, wow, this is a really neat new way to interact over our phone line. But what really was happening was the democratization of information. And that's changed the entire world afterwards. I think today we sit at the same kind of moment. We look at something like ChatGPT and most people are thinking, here's a neat way for me to generate some images and maybe get some questions answered. But really where we are today is we are at the precipice of the democratization of reasoning. And I think that is something to go home with. That is what's going to determine the flow of the next 20 years, just like the internet determined the flow of the 20 years that came before it. And it's going to be amazing what can be done with it. I hope we all treat it with the level of respect it deserves, but also that we are all going to continue to look at how to use this newfound fire to do something great for society as a whole, because it is an amazing reset. It is an amazing possibility to have reasoning democratized, and that's going to change everything in the upcoming decades.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and thank you to all of our panelists, and thank you all for being part of this important discussion. Thank you.